All right, so last question. Your gym is 413 Jiu Jitsu, and I've always wondered about it. I assumed it was from Philippians 413, but could you talk
It
about
is.
that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's Philippians 4:13. That's a verse that always like so when I first started working or first started like teaching jujitsu, I didn't have my own school. I was teaching inside of another gym. And kids would always be like, I can't do this. I can't. So that scripture just always kind of stood out to me of like a lot of people know it. So having that name on the door kind of just sends out a quiet signal of like, hey, we are a positive driven gym environment and family friendly. Right now, putting putting a school name like that puts a lot of pressure. It's put a lot of pressure on me because people think when they walk through the door, they think, oh my gosh, these people are gonna like preach at me. You know what I mean? Because it's a Bible verse, right? Some people will ask me about it, and then I'll tell them that, oh, cool, we go to church, cool. But I have had people that were very skeptical about coming in because of the name on the door, right?
Hmm.
Then I've had people that notice the name on the door and they're like, they know exactly what it is. And they're like, oh, family friendly is what they think. And then I've had people put kind of the pressure on me of like, oh my gosh, you have a Bible verse on the door. You got to be perfect. I am not perfect. No human is. And if you think you're perfect, like you better go back and read the Bible because we're not, right? We're not perfect. None of us are. We all make mistakes. So I make mistakes every day. So putting that name on the door though, it was something that meant a lot to me because I'd had some, rough past growing up and stuff like that. And the I can do all things really stood out to me, right? Not giving up. So if you go on to the website, our website, in the very first paragraph, you got a picture from one of JW's seminars, and in the very first caption at the very end of it says, "And I can do all things through 413 Jiu-Jitsu." And so it's sending that quiet message of what the verse says, but it's doing it in a way of like, I can do all things through 413 Jiu-Jitsu, right? And I didn't put that in there to be like, to contradict a Bible verse. It's like you don't want to have a business and be throwing verses out there anyways, because it's like then you're mixing business and religion and political stuff, and you shouldn't mix those things with your business. Your business is a place where people can come and they don't want to hear about religion or politics. They want to train jujitsu, right?
Mhm.
But you can put that name on the door and have a really subtle message to them like, hey, we're a family friendly environment and we want to help you with your jujitsu. We want you to know that we're not going to have a bunch of knuckleheads running around with their t-shirts off and, cussing and carrying on and being crazy around your kid. You know what I mean? Or allowing drugs in the gym or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just a soft message to people. Like, hey, come train with us. We want to create a great family environment. And that's why I use that name.
That's awesome. And I mean, I definitely saw that with my own eyes. I kind of assumed that that was what the verse was, and I didn't know what to expect walking into a jujitsu gym. So, it kind of gave me that idea of like, all right, well, these guys are probably really nice. I agree with it. I'm also a Christian, but I'm not going to church. I'm going to jujitsu. So, like you said, it gives a family friendly picture of the gym and it portrays it in a good way.
Now, maybe in a few months we can have another podcast and you guys will get to see some new news coming up here soon, but don't really want to share that yet without
All
permission.
right.
But I have some big things coming up here really soon. So some big offers that were made in my direction, and we're just trying to work out all the details.
I'll
Yeah,
be staying tuned to find out what happens with that. But
yeah.
thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you and pick your brain and hear about all these things. I'm definitely going to have to come back and train next time I'm home. But everybody, Tristan Tripp from 413 Jiu Jitsu, it's been a pleasure to have you and hope you all enjoyed the interview.
I appreciate you having me on, and we'll have to do this again sometimes. Maybe after the big news, and then again maybe when I get my black belt someday.
Absolutely.